This video gives a three-way comparison between the original Portal, Portal RTX without the enhanced assets, and Portal RTX with the enhanced assets. If you have never played Portal before, I would not recommend making this your first experience of it. The gameplay is identical, but I have some issue with RTX. Before we can begin, I need to give a quick disclaimer of sorts. Portal RTX is not a replacement for Portal. You can still buy and play the original game on Steam, as you always have been able to. But this is not a review of Portal, this is a review of Portal RTX. If I wanted to make a review of Portal, I would have made a video about Portal. The point of reviewing Portal RTX is to review the changes that were made to Portal in Portal RTX. Most of the enhanced aspects of Portal RTX can be changed back to how they originally were in Portal, with the obvious exception of the RTX lighting algorithm itself, because, being optional, it doesn't mean that any of those things are free from criticism. If I wanted to make a video about the original Portals, textures, models, lighting, what have you, then I would have made a video about that. If you don't understand why I just said any of the things that I did, consider yourself lucky. You are probably most curious about the performance, so I will just start with that. Here are the minimum specs that is listed on Steam. Here's my computer specs, as you can see below the minimum, and these are the recommended settings given by the developers for my specific graphics card. With those settings the performance was bearable, but I think it's less than most people would prefer to expect. I would usually get around 20 to 15 FPS. If you had a $200 laptop, this is about the performance that you could expect in the original Portal. I choose to use higher end settings because I wanted to make a review Portal RTX and wanted to get the full developer visions. With those settings I got about 10 to 20 FPS, lower than most would accept. But I consider this okay because it's Portal and you don't need high FPS to play Portal. The performance is tolerable, but if this were not free, I would have returned it. Portal RTX has mixed reviews on Steam, and performance is the main reason why. Graphics. For those who don't know what RTX is, it's real-time ray tracing. But instead of saying RTRT, they decided to call it RTX, which sounded a bit less dumb. It may also mean ray tracing accelerate. Anyway, light gets cast out in many directions and bounces in many directions to emulate real light. In the original game, every object would look at the lighting on every object that's visible to it and then inherit some degree of that lighting. This is called radiosity. The main differences between RTX and radiosity are RTX can account for parallax in relation to the player camera, where radiosity cannot. With radiosity, a well is going to look like it's lit the exact same way from every single angle. RTX generally has a lot more spatial precisions. And finally, RTX is able to react to things as they happen in the world. In the original game this was not possible because the radiosity algorithm was only run one time on a map, and that would take several minutes, usually if not ever on hour. Reflections. Source's original reflections are definitely limited. You could only have one real-time reflective surface at a time. Other than that, you only had cube maps, which were just 6 pictures of a specific point in space that were arranged into a cube. Those reflections were only accurate from one specific spot in the world. Also, now that I have been forced to think about it, Source does have the technology for remote cameras, so could you just make 6 remote cameras and then use that instead of cube maps? That seems foolproof to me. Also, I have never seen that done, so surely there is some kind of problem with that. I don't know, I'm just spitting out ideas here. As for RTX, I have to ask if this reflection even are RTX. How can some reflection look like this when other looks like this? That doesn't make sense. Reflection, so yeah, nothing new here. Real time, being done in real time is obviously the main selling point of RTX, so you would think that would do a better job with the aspect, but they did not. Anytime that there is motion involved in the light being cast, the shadows will become very blurry. There are many other temporal artifacts. If you look in some places for long enough, you will begin to see that all. Oh, the light has this weird glistening effect on it, and it looks pretty bad. It also takes time to fully render things as they pop onto your screen. This is bad. I would also like to point out that Source does have real-time methods of represented lights and shade, and while there is minimal settings. So I think Portal RTX is so good render project, but your frame rate is low.